I'm not going to lie, every time I speak or write anything critical about an athlete's performance, every time I'm wondering what that individual might be dealing with, whether it's physical or mental. Good morning to you. Good Thursday morning. I'm Dejan Kovacevic of DK Pittsburgh Sports. This is Daily Shot of Penguins. It comes your way bright and early every weekday. If you're into football and or baseball, I also offer daily shots of Steelers and Pirates in the same place that you found this. Best wishes go out right here from me to the one, the only Kris Letang, who had heart surgery yesterday to repair a hole that's located between the upper chambers. Now, it's common knowledge that he'd had that issue, suffered strokes, real live strokes, in 2014 and 2022. Now, fortunately, nothing in terms of an event occurred to prompt this. This is a decision that was being discussed for a long time between Letang and the medical staff about having the surgery voluntarily to address that hole. And because Letang was playing, per Mike Sullivan's assessment yesterday after practice, with a whole lot of bumps and bruises, he, on all likelihood, wasn't going to play in tonight's regular season finale against the Capitals. They just went ahead and got it done. So between Sullivan's public comments, others from the locker room, notably that of P.O. Joseph, who lives with Letang, saying that he's doing fine, good spirits, ups and downs, and absolutely no indication of any kind that this is going to impact the rest of his career. The only thing that matters here, the only thing, is that this legitimately great player, husband, father, and everything else that he means to so many more people is healthy and going to live the longest life possible. Okay, now that I have explained all that, I'm going to swing back to what I said at the beginning. I was pretty tough on him this week. I thought his performance, independent, completely independent, obviously, of everything I just said, specifically against the Bruins on Sunday, was not at all a good look for him or the franchise, and I'd seen him, in my estimation, struggling like this for a while now. I'm going to guess that of the 16,000 or so people who were at that game, or maybe if you just watched it on TV, you might have had similar thoughts. And then upon hearing this yesterday, you might have had a lot of the thoughts that I had, was like, yikes, man, what are we doing here? Well, I have a couple of things to say on this subject, and believe it or not just from my own perspective, but also potentially from yours. One of them is this, and I think it's important. None of us knows what these guys are actually going through. And it's not just because the NHL and the individual teams have reduced injury reporting to upper body, lower body, or, and this is actually more common, they don't tell you anything at all. I see players routinely in locker rooms walking around with some significant limp or multiple ice bags or boots and slings and whatever, and I realize they're not on any kind of injury report. That's the hockey mentality. But I'll also tell you, and this is what the players would prefer that we talk about, because this is the way they word it all the time, and that's that injuries are part of the game. If they're not playing well because of an injury or multiple injuries, they still don't blame anybody but themselves. They never cite it as an excuse. They just legitimately, honestly, way deep down, come to accept that it's part of the game. Some of you who go way back with my coverage will recall that in both San Jose and Nashville, when I covered the Penguins' last two Stanley Cup championships, when I was going around on the ice and talking to guys about a whole bunch of different things, one of the questions that I had for almost everybody was, what's wrong with you? Like, what do you have that's broken? And the stuff that you'd hear, like you wouldn't believe it. Ian Cole had both of his hands broken. Patrick Hornqvist, who scored, obviously, the biggest single goal out of those two playoff runs, scored that goal despite barely being able to grip his stick because of a severe wrist injury. So what you and I do when we're watching these games, in my case, covering them and being paid to critique them for better or worse, is we just go by what it is that we see. There will be an occasion where someone, like Sidney Crosby, goes into a slump or maybe isn't showing the same burst, and we'll speculate, hey, is there maybe something wrong with him? I'll even ask, are you all right? You doing fine? Yeah, I'm good. Yep, thanks. Yep, all good. But you give the benefit of the doubt. But when there's no information, and there's really no indication of anything that's specific to an injury, because whatever it was that Sullivan was referring to yesterday when he said that Letang was dealing with various bumps and bruises, it wasn't the kind of thing where you'd watch him playing and you'd see him back off of a shot on goal that he could have done more to prevent, and you'd think to yourself, oh man, that looked like he has a whole bunch of bumps and bruises. You just don't know. But it's always there. It's always a factor. And I only glossed over this at the beginning, but there's also the mental component. Obviously not talking about Letang here. You never know, unless of course they tell you, what a player's going through upstairs. They have real lives. They have real families. They have real wives and girlfriends and kids and parents and issues that go on around them. I'm not at liberty to share the specifics, but one of the reasons, quite possibly, that Tristan Jarry has played as well as he has of late is that he's got something really, really cool happening in his life. If he chooses to talk about that on the record, we'll talk about it here. But it's a really good thing, and it's having a positive impact. So just something to file away. There's always more to whatever it is that we're watching on the ice. When we come back, J1Q. This episode is brought to you by Bet Online, your number one source for all your summer sports needs this season, from Major League Baseball, golf, NHL, NBA playoffs. Get the latest odds and lines, including all team matchups, player props, odds on just about everything that's out there. Head to the website today or use your mobile device to get in on the action. Bet Online, where the game starts. Today's J1Q comes from Matt in Dallas, and it is, of course, on this subject. It comes from Matt in Dallas, who says it's just a miracle, isn't it, that an elite athlete like Kris Letang can perform so well in such a strenuous sport with something like that dogging him. They are not like us. I love the line. But when I saw what you wrote here, Matt, one of the first things I thought of was that it's not necessarily a they. Listen to Erik Karlsson yesterday talking about Letang having the heart surgery.
I can't speak for him or myself, since I have not even been remotely supposed to go through anything like that. It's easy to say that if it happened to me, I don't know what I would do, and if I would be willing to move forward. But kudos to him and the doctors and everybody that's helped him along the way. And I've been around him for 2 years now, and if I didn't know it, he'd been through before, I would have never known. He's a normal guy, and a little bit, lots of energy, and then so it's good for him, that he can be able to still play at the level that he does, and being able to handle it as well as he has, and not let himself get dragged down by it or anyone else around him. It's great.
Let's just keep in mind here that the they, in terms of playing through something of this scope in all of professional sports, is not in fact a they. It's a he. There's only one, Kris Letang. Heading to the hockey rink tonight, obviously, Penguins and Capitals, to repeat from earlier, are concluding the NHL season in Pittsburgh anyway. That's a 7:08 p.m. face-off. I'll be there covering it for DK Pittsburgh Sports. Make sure you go to our site, by the way, to check out Taylor Haas's complete reporting on Letang and the heart situation. Trust me, you're going to feel a whole lot better about it after giving it a look. Let's do this again tomorrow.